Was caught in the crossfire. Was caught in the
Yes guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Bear and this is Bear's 8-Legged Freaks. As always, first of all, if you're new here, a massive welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. It really does mean the world. If you like videos that are spider tarantula based, make sure you like, leave a comment and don't forget to subscribe. Right, now a few weeks ago I put a post out across my social media asking you guys what you would like to see me cover, or if there's anything that you try searching for that you can't really find. I had a great response from this, and one thing that kept coming up was a suggestion to do an episode on my first tarantula and the whole process from start to finish and finding advice and things like that. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. So in a minute, I'll roll the intro, then I'm going to jump right in and I'm going to give you a step-by-step guide of getting yourself prepared and what to do when getting your first tarantula. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to shut up. Let's get started. Welcome back, guys. Right, let's get right into it. You want a tarantula? Awesome stuff. I cannot recommend a better hobby than this one. But before we get to the point of how to look for your first tarantula, there's probably a few questions that you should ask yourself first. Now, number one, are you getting a tarantula for the right reasons? Now, this may sound silly, but it's something that I have seen far too much of across social media and on Facebook groups and things like that, where I've seen individuals putting posts up saying they're getting rid of their collection or they're getting rid of their tarantula because they've literally bought for the wrong reasons. Now, this might be because they bought it to, I don't know, scare a family member. They might have bought it to make themselves look cool or other silly reasons. Now, please remember, these are beautiful living creatures. They're not a toy. They're not a prop. So unless you're in it for the tarantula itself, then don't bother. Number two, are you going to be committed to looking after this tarantula? Now, although they don't require the same sort of love and affection as, say, a dog, a cat, or a rabbit would, some species, in particular females, do have a long life expectancy. Now, some can live 20, 25 years. So are you going to be committed to that? And number three, are the people you live with okay with you having a tarantula? Now, again, this is something that I've seen far too much of across Facebook. Is people giving up tarantulas because they bought it behind their parents' back or their loved ones' back, or the people they live with. It's freaked them out, they've got scared and said, no, it's got to go. Always ask them first. I mean, bear in mind, arachnophobia is probably one of the biggest fears on the planet. So yeah, make sure you respect the people around you. And number four, are you okay with live food? Now, tarantulas will eat live prey, things such as crickets, hoppers, waxworms, mealworms, roaches. Also, your spiderlings will eat things like fruit flies and even cut up mealworms that you've got to do yourself. Are you okay with that? Now, if everything I've gone through, if you're okay with all that and the answer is yes, then happy days. We can start looking for your first tarantula. Right, all is good. So where do we start? Right, there are over 1,000 different species known in the world today, with new species getting discovered all the time. Luckily, thanks to things like the internet and social media, information has never been easier to find. Now, let's go to Facebook. There are so many different groups regarding tarantulas and other arachnids, and the communities are just awesome. And there are so many people out there willing to help with any questions you might have. Also, right here on YouTube, there are so many people like myself that do videos regarding tarantulas and other spiders. And there are some great people out there that do have the highest knowledge and experience. And we all do videos regarding specific species, as well as husbandry and care videos. So literally, information has never been easier to find. Now, with tarantulas, or to be fair, any animal you have, research is always key. Right, guys, so let's break a few things down. And there are two types of tarantula in the world. You have your New World and you have your Old World tarantulas. Now, your New Worlds, they're located in parts of North and South America, as well as some central parts of America. Whereas your Old World tarantulas are located in places like Africa, Asia, Australia, and different parts of Europe. You will find your Old World tarantulas are a lot faster, can be a lot more defensive, and also their venom is a lot more potent compared to New Worlds. Now, your New Worlds you will find are a lot more hardy and somewhat laid back. However, their main form of defense is urticating hairs. Now, what this is when they feel stressed or threatened, they will use their back legs and rub really fast on their abdomen, which will be flicking all these tiny little bristled hairs up into the air. Now, this will get onto the predator's face, whether it be in the mouth, nose, or eyes, or on their skin, and it can cause a lot of discomfort. Now, if you get these hairs on your skin, it can be really irritating. It can cause things like rashes, blisters, and itching sensations that can last for a few days. Now, there are different types of hairs. Some are worse than others. For example, the Pterophosa sturmi, also known as the Burgundy Goliath, their hairs are really bad. Now, I've had these on my hands a couple of times, and it is not nice. I've come out with blisters, and my hands have itched for days. So yeah, always be cautious. You can do things like wear gloves when doing maintenance, because they do flick hairs around their burrow as well. So yeah, always be careful. Always give your tarantula the respect it deserves. There are also categories in regards to how they live. So you have your fossorial types. Now these guys will live in burrows under the ground. So when it comes to their setup, you're going to want a nice enclosure where you could put plenty of substrate in, a nice bit of depth in there. So when a tarantula goes in, it can burrow down and live how it would in its natural environment. Now, nothing else is really required here apart from a water dish. You don't need to put like a hide in because they will do all that themselves. Then you have your terrestrial types. Now, the terrestrial types live on the ground. When it comes to their setups, you're going to want a nice few inches of substrate. You're going to want your water dish. You can add fake plants or things like leaf litter, sphagnum moss, depending on the species. And you're going to want to hide in there. Now, I like to use a nice piece of cork bark, which I bury down into the substrate. I like to make things look as natural as possible. Then you have your arboreal types. Now, these guys in their natural environment will live in the trees. So when it comes to their enclosure, you're going to want something that's got a lot more height than it has width. In regards to substrate, you're not going to need much. Just cover the base, then put your water dish in. You're going to want some nice foliage for them to hide behind. And then you're going to want a nice piece of cork bark. Now, you can get flat pieces or you can get them in a nice tube. either is fine, as long as it's a nice size. I mean, you've got to think, this is kind of like mimicking a tree. So this is going to allow your tarantula to climb, move around, and also hide behind. There's also another category that us keepers like to call semi-arboreal. Now, this is for species such as the Chromatopelma cyanopubescens, also known as the green bottle blue tarantula, or the Pteronoculus marinus, also known as the OBT. Now, semi-arboreal means even though they're ground dwelling, they will appreciate a little bit of height. So they want to have their burrow, but they also like to web up above that. So if you do have either one of these guys, make sure you put plenty of anchor points in there as well, because it will web up like crazy and it is awesome to see. Right, so being a first-time keeper, you're going to want a tarantula. It doesn't really have any special requirements. It's laid back and somewhat of a docile nature. Now, if you go to keepers, everyone is going to have their opinion on what they think will be best for that first tarantula. What I'm going to give you now is my personal top 4 beginner teas. So we have the Aponopelma codes, also known as the Desert Blonde and Arizona Blonde. We have the Brachypelma homorii, also known as the Mexican red knee, the Grammostola rosea, also known as the Chilean rose, and the Grammostola pulchra, also known as the Brazilian black tarantula. Now, all of these are New World terrestrial species. They're all chilled, hardy, laid back, and somewhat of a docile nature. However, still always approach your tarantulas with caution because their temperaments can differ between molts. I do find though, the older they get, the more laid back they do become. So now you have an idea, where do you go? There are many places you can visit online. There are some places out there with a top reputation. Places I use are the Spider Shop, Spa Spiders, Portsmouth Tarantulas, Creatures from the North, and Bugnut. Now these are the best of the best, at the top of their game, and they sell everything that you need. From the tarantula itself to equipment to substrates to live food to enclosures, is everything you need in one place. Some of them even do startup kits. For example, you can get the enclosure, the substrate, and the spider itself. So you just got to do one purchase and you can get everything sent to your door. It's literally as easy as that. When you go online, if you're looking for a spider, you'll find they come in 3 categories. You'll have spiderlings, you'll have juveniles, and then sub-adult/adults. What do you get? Personally, for me, being a beginner, I start juvenile upwards. Even though spiderlings are awesome, I think that should be left until you have a bit more experience. At that stage, they're very vulnerable, they're very fragile. So yeah, I start off with a juvenile or sub-adult/adult and go from there. As I've said, you can find kits, especially on Spider Shop. They do ones with the GBB, also the Mexican red knee, where you get a faunarium, the substrate, the hide, the water dish, and the spider itself. So yeah, as I said, it's literally as easy as that. Right guys, so here we have the Spider Shop's official page. Now if we go to the drop down menu, we click on categories, Here's everything from different types of inverts to equipment, starter kits, and things like that. So we click into starter kits. Here you will see different types of enclosures. This is what I want to show you guys. So this is nice, simple, and basic, but it's a nice starter kit for a decent price. And this comes with everything you need to get started, apart from the tarantula itself. Now we scroll down, you can see the price here and a bit of a description of what it comes with. So yeah, like I said, nice, cheap, cheerful, but everything you need. Now we go back into the drop down menu, into categories again. As you can see, we scroll down here, we've also got live food. Here you'll find a whole range of different live foods, from crickets, hoppers, mealworms, waxworms, also food for your spiderlings, such as fruit flies, mini mealworms, and things like that. Now again, we go back into the categories, we'll scroll down, we can go into the equipment. Now, as you can see, there's enclosure bit here. This ranges from your spiderlings up to your adults. You can get plastic enclosures, glass enclosures, depending on how much you want to spend. Different types of decor, hides, water bowls, different types of substrates. As you can see, as I'm scrolling down here, your things like your thermostats, even food for your live food, tongs, heat packs if you're sending out tarantulas, live plants, as well as other accessories that you can get your hands on. Now, if we go back into categories, we'll click on tarantulas, and here's the three categories. So we have your sub-adults and adults. We scroll down and we have your juveniles. And then if we scroll down again, you'll have your spiderlings. Now what we'll do, we'll scroll back up, click into juveniles, and let's see what they have. And here's everything they have in stock. First up, a beautiful little A-gen there, Cal Cody's there. I'll just scroll down a little bit more. Here we go. And right here we have the Brachypelma homorii. Let's click into that one. As you can see, it's got a scientific and common name, the size, a little description, source CB, which is captive bred, and then you'll get a little description with giving you basic information about that particular tarantula. Also, when it comes to the enclosure itself, there are many cheap ways of doing this. The enclosure all depends on how much you want to spend. If you go into places like the spider shop, you can get things like faunariums, which is literally what you see here, which is a plastic container, if you like. You can buy Braplast tubs, which are literally a few quid, which you can see right here. All the way up to things like this, glass enclosures, which are slightly more expensive. So there are ways of saving money. I mean, you can, even if you wanted to save a few pennies, you can go to places like B&M's or Poundland and buy storage containers, which will literally save you money there. Things like this I picked up off Amazon. Literally, I got 10 of these for 15 quid. Just added the ventilation holes all the way around, and it's ready to go. There's also places you can go to have customized enclosures. For instance, something like this. This was made by Enclosures, all customized, top wood used, acrylic as well, so they're not overly heavy. And there you go. So there's plenty of options out there. So now you've got everything you need. You've got your enclosure, your bits and bobs, all your substrates that you need, your quart bark, your decor, water dishes, live food. You've got that first tarantula in the basket. You're ready to place your order. Some sites might ask you what particular day of the week you want to receive that tarantula on. Some other sites will send out on a particular day of that week. So what will happen is the day before, they will get everything prepared. They will box up your tarantula and they will send it on a special guarantee next day delivery before 1 p.m. So what I'm going to show you guys in a second is me putting an enclosure together and also receiving the parcel from the Royal Mail, showing you guys the unboxing and putting the tarantula into his new enclosure. Hope you enjoy. Right, here we go, guys. This is the exciting part. Unfortunately, I didn't have any spider mail due when I made this video. So what I've done is I've taken a few clips from previous episodes just because it fits well in with this particular episode that I'm doing and being my first tarantula, and so you guys can see. Now, the next video, you'll see in a bit more depth of how the packaging is. I sped this one up because I was waffling on. This is an adult female Nandu chromatus, also known as the Brazilian red and white tarantula. I got this girl from a place called Spider Planet, and the packaging was absolutely top notch. Couldn't fault it whatsoever. Had the heat pack in there, was well padded out. Unfortunately, as you can see in the container here, she's made her way out from the kitchen towel. But yeah, you can see her there, absolutely beautiful. But what I'll do in a second is I've already got the enclosure set up, so it'll skip to that in a minute, and then you'll see me put her in. Here we go. So lid comes off, nice and slow, don't need to be fast, take your time. I'm just going to place it in, and what I'll do is I'll grab my tongs in a second just to put away the kitchen towel on the front. Now, she did have one of her legs hooked to it, so I was trying to be as careful as I could. Yeah, and there we go. Take that one away. And what I'll do is I'll get my special little brush here, sort of push that in and just gently tap the legs and try and guide her out. And to be honest, she come out pretty quickly and easily, as you will see now. And here she comes. Beautiful. I'll just get a bit of a close-up now as well, just so you guys can see how gorgeous she is. There we go. Welcome to your new home. Right, on to the next. Here you can see in a bit more detail. This is the parcel I received from the Royal Mail. This is from the spider shop. As you can see, as I've opened it up, it's padded out well with the nice little polystyrene wotsits to keep it nice and secure. Now, this is an adult female Chromatopelma cyanopubescens, also known as the green bottle blue tarantula. So what I'll do, we'll take the lid off here. Enclosure's already set up. I have got a video out about the GBB and this enclosure and the whole setup, which I will put a link on at the end of this video in case you guys do want to watch it. And again, as you can see, I just put the brush in, just gently guiding her out. And here she comes. And like I said, these are old videos from a few of my previous episodes, but it just suited this episode pretty well, to be honest with you. And I've also kept the next bit in of the juvenile GBB, which was a rescue. Also kept the whole process I've done for the setup, just for you guys to see. I'd give you an idea of how to put one together. Just look at that coloration on the legs, absolutely beautiful. Now, to be honest, this is another beginner species in my opinion. They can be quite skittish at times, but yeah, and these are really great webbers as well. Absolutely stunning. Right, here's the setup that I put together for my juvenile GBB. Now this is literally just a small faunarium. I'm putting the substrate in, give it a little bit of depth. These are semi-arboreal as well, as I have mentioned earlier. So they do like a little bit of height, plenty of anchor points as well to web up, but at the same time, they are also ground dwelling species, so they do require a burrow. So as you can see here, I just put a nice bit of cork bark in, using my fingers to sort of like create a ready-made hide, if you like. What I'll do, add a bit of decor, nice little skull. Things like this you can pick up from places like Pets at Home, B&M, pound shops. They always do ornaments pretty cheap. As you can see, a fake plant I put in a corner. Again, you can pick these up cheap as chips on Amazon and eBay and places like that. Halloween pack that I picked up from a pound shop, little skeleton parts. These make really good anchor points in this enclosure. Just to make a bit more of a natural feel, a bit of carpet moss, and also a nice bit of leaf litter. And here's the little dude. So as you can see again, the brush goes in and just touching the legs, just to guide her out. And there she is. Another beautiful, beautiful tarantula. Now on to the next. This was a parcel from Enclosures. This packaging was absolutely incredible. I mean, as you can see, proper protected with all the side pieces and everything. This was the enclosure, and also had 5 Posiothera regalis, also known as the Indian ornamentals, inside, which we'll see in a second. I'm not going to bore you with the whole setup, so we'll get right onto the rehousing. I have sped it up just so it doesn't take too much time. These are an incredible species. I absolutely love the regalis. And there we have it. Get these 2 out and it is job done. So there we have it, guys. Literally as easy as that. Now you have a beautiful tarantula in its new home. All you got to do, keep the water dish full at all times and spot clean as much as you can. Like remove any uneaten or dead prey to stop any sort of parasites or any bacteria spreading. In regards to feeding, spiderlings I feed twice a week, juveniles once a week, sub-adults, adults I feed once a week to once every 2 weeks, depending on the size of the abdomen. Last thing you want is the abdomen getting too big. Just like with anything, eating too much is not healthy. A few other things that you should be aware of. If your tarantula burrows away, seals off his burrow, and is in there for long periods of time, do not panic. Your tarantula is doing this for his own reasons. It might be in pre-molt and it's seen enough where it feels safe. Just trust the process. It will emerge out when it's ready. Also, don't panic if your tarantula doesn't eat for long periods of time. This is very, very common. Now, tarantulas can go months on end without eating. Now, when they're in their enclosure or in their burrow or wherever they may be, they don't really move a lot. And to be fair, they hardly even breathe. So they don't burn any energy whatsoever. So not burning any energy, they don't need to eat. If you put something in, it's still in there the next day, take it out, try again at a later date. Also, if you see that your tarantula is flipped on his back, it is not dead. Do not panic. Your tarantula is molting. This can take a while. Also depends on the size, but just trust the process. Do not touch your tarantula because this is a very fragile and vulnerable time in its life. So just leave it be, trust the process, and just watch something magical happen. So there we have it, guys. Bears, eight-legged freaks, guides and tips to getting your first tarantula. I really hope you find this episode useful. If you are getting into the hobby, which is probably one of the best hobbies on the planet, I really hope this has helped you out. If it has, hit that like button, leave a comment, and I really would appreciate it if you did subscribe. But once again, thank you so much for watching. All your support means the absolute world. I'm going to leave it there. So yeah, until next time, guys, all the best. Take care. I will see you soon.